afternoon. Thank you, James. Delighted to be here.
I know you've been working with the toolkit this morning in workshops. I want to thank you all for the invitation to be here. Thank you to NYCI, and I'm delighted to see that this is a North-South launch. I'm joined here today by two of my colleagues as well from this area involved in politics, Senator Jim Darcy and Councillor English, who've come along to show their support to what you're doing, and delighted to welcome them as well. This is certainly a very impressive documentation, I have to say. I've been going through it, and it's really, I think, an extremely useful document and an extremely useful concept to have a toolkit like this. I'm really delighted, James, that you've been able to reach out, and that, as I say, it is north-south, access all areas. I think that the whole question of inclusivity is extremely important. And in fact, I'm delighted to tell you that next year, during the Irish presidency, from January to June, when I will be hosting a national youth work conference, the theme of that conference is going to be social inclusion. And I hope that you'll get an opportunity to present the work that you've done in relation to this concept and the toolkit at that conference, because I think it's an example of best practice. It's going to be very useful, and an awful lot of people are going to learn from it. Going through the different, if you like, the different groups that you're reaching out to within the different chapters, it certainly seems to me that you're casting a very wide net, and is going to be really helpful to people who in the past have been excluded and who have been marginalised. And I don't think it's something that we've been particularly good at, but certainly the youth work sector is leading the way in terms of reaching out to people. And I keep going to audiences around the country since I've become Minister for Children and Youth Affairs to say how encouraged I am by the cutting edge work that I see being done by young people. And if I take just one area, mental health for example, and I know you've very interesting work on that within the chapters, what I'm seeing from young people around the country is I'm seeing the stigma being broken. I'm seeing young people reaching out. I'm seeing young people self-identifying as having some problems in that area and getting support from other people and from the youth work staff and the trainers and everybody who's involved in youth work. So there is a real sense of a cutting-edge approach coming from young people through the youth work services and the youth work initiatives all over the country. And again, I think that's reflected in the toolkit that you're launching here today, because you're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk. You're saying this is what you do in these circumstances, and you're spelling out very clearly what are the kind of questions that arise for different groups of young people who have experienced exclusion, who haven't been in the mainstream before, and you're making a very proactive intention and a proactive effort to reach out, and I think that's coming across very clearly. I also want to welcome YouthNet Northern Ireland, who are here today and who've been involved in the project, and to say that it is great that you've chosen to be involved in this project as well. I think it's going to be a very important resource north and south, and I'm sure there's a lot of scope for it to be mainstreamed more and more, for people to learn from the work that you've done, the process you've undertaken. It hasn't been easy. I can imagine that producing documentation and a booklet and the ideas behind a toolkit like this has taken a lot of effort and energy from a lot of people and a lot of hard work to work out the concepts. And of course the proof of the pudding now will be in the eating and in the implementation of it across youth work in Ireland, north and south. So I do think it will be invaluable in meeting the individual needs of young people from a diversity of backgrounds, and it will promote good practice and high quality standards in youth work. And of course, it isn't enough anymore. We all know that much of youth work, much of childcare in Ireland, much of the developments we see now have come from very informal approaches. They come from volunteers who are willing to give of their time. But what we are doing now more and more is we're evaluating what we're doing. We're looking at the research. We're saying what works well, and we want to learn what works well, and we want to transfer good quality practice from one group to another. And I think it's going to be very important for that as well. It's also going to offer timely support to us developing standards, the National Quality Standards Framework in Youth Work, which was introduced introduced last year, and which again is another step, I think, in the direction of transferring best practice from one organisation to another, and indeed across the whole sector. It is a difficult time. It is difficult financially. I know that youth organisations are pressurised in terms of economic planning at the moment and in terms of finances. And great efforts are being made by people to give the very best services, to keep the frontline services working in the way that you have been over the last number of years in more difficult times. I was in Brussels 2 weeks ago discussing youth work and how it can be supported at the presidency, as I said to you. And of course this phrase for those young people who are the needs, who are not in education, employment or training, I think is a very particular challenge at the moment. And I think this toolkit in terms of reaching out to young people, this is a tough time for many young people. The whole question of accessing training, of accessing education and accessing employment is very, very critical in the current economic situation and very challenging for young people. And my colleagues here with me and myself, this is a tough time, I want to say, and you're seeing it on the front line, to be losing so many young people to immigration and to be in a situation where it is tough to access work and to access opportunity is something the government is extremely conscious of, and that's why we are focusing on jobs, 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 and access to training, access to education. These are the key issues. That's outside the scope of the toolkit to a sense, but in another way, this toolkit is about reaching out to all of our young people who are experiencing difficulty, who are having difficulty accessing services, accessing perhaps being involved in youth clubs for a variety of reasons, or youth work. So I think it's a really important initiative, and as it becomes more used within youth work and as it becomes better known, I think it will have huge impact in terms of that reaching out. So look, I really want to thank you for doing the work that led to the development of the toolkit. I want to wish you success in developing it, in further reviewing it and making sure that it's implemented across the sector. And it is a real testament to your commitment and determination to empower young people and to provide them with a forum to communicate their particular needs by acknowledging the difficulties and challenges they face in these times and with the particular issues with which they are coping. So I think you will make a very substantial contribution to tackling inequality amongst young people by the work that you put in to the toolkit and by the ideas contained in it. And I've no doubt you'll make a huge difference to individual lives, and that young people who wouldn't formally have had an opportunity to be involved in the valuable work that is youth work will find a way of becoming involved, because the young people already involved, the staff, the trainers, everyone will be more conscious of these issues as a result of the work which has been undertaken by you in preparing this. So thank you very much indeed for all of the work that you've done, and the best of success with it. And I look forward to hearing today and in an ongoing way about how it has proved useful in your work and how it has engaged even more young people than you do currently. So well done again, and thank you for the invitation to be here.